Hey, what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with me. I really appreciate it. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite Purphoros cards. Favorite Theros cards. We are not going to be talking about new Theros. We're going to be talking about the old Theros, the OG Theros. I do have the kittens in here with me. Leia is kind of just like chilling right over here on my mouse pad, which she really likes, and Zelda's like with me right on my chair. She really likes to take up the whole chair, even though she's small cat. I am large human, but she feels like she can take up the whole chair because, you know, cats. It's what they do. But I really wanted to do this video for you guys talking about my top 10 favorite cards, looking at Theros, kind of like taking a step back and looking at this set in a very objective sort of way and being like, if I could have these 10 cards from this set, like what would it be, sort of? And I compiled this list so that I could basically like look at all of these sorts of cards. This is just like basically my top 10 cards, so it's not necessarily like what cards are like the most impactful, I would say, or like what cards would I say are like the most impactful for like a commander. These are just like my personal favorite cards from this set, ranked from 10 all the way to 1. So let's hop into it. Okay, so the first card I kind of spoiled a little bit when I said Purphoros earlier. So yeah, Purphoros God of the Forge is at my number 10 slot. We're counting down all the way to 1, 1 being my favorite. And Purphoros, just to me, I feel like I have really good like memories, I feel like, associated with this card. I remember back when Theros came out, and then there was like the whole like dash mechanic that was in, what set was like dash in? I'm blanking on what that set was, but anyways, Perfroz was like legal in standard, and I remember building like a deck for like game day. It was super bad. It was a really bad dash deck. But anyways, I remember like trading for a for a Perfroz because I needed him, and I remember getting a foil one, so I just have like a really good like memory associated, even though my like game day deck was like absolutely trash. I just like put together a bunch of black-red cards and it was like super bad. But anyways, Purphoros, just super great card. You know, I run him in Omnath, and he's just like really strong because like whenever you have like any of those elemental creatures, you know, entering the battlefield, they deal 2 damage to each opponent. He's just kind of like annoying. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just kind of like an annoying sort of card that I feel like a lot of people were like, ugh, like, you know, he just like gets people, I feel like, and he's hard to remove because he's indestructible, which I really like. Don't really find myself using the pump ability, but I definitely wanted to include him because he is super good. And as I feel like I'm talking about this, I'm realizing there's so many cards that I feel like I really could have mentioned, but it was really hard to like make this list. Are you getting comfy? Okay, princess. Okay, so yeah, that's it for my number 10 slot. Y'all should see her right now. She's real freaking cute. Okay, my number 9 slot is Grey Merchant of... How do you say that? I have no idea how to say that, but whatever that word is. Anyways, people just call him Grey Merchant, or Gary, I guess. Do people call him Gary? I don't know. I feel like I do. Anyway, so Grey Merchant to me is that, like, one thing that's obviously like very notable about Theros collectively is this notion of devotion, and I feel like Grey Merchant is one of those like staple, I would say, devotion cards. Like if you're playing a mono black deck, like why not run him, sort of thing. And I run him in zombies, and he's just like super fun. Like it's just such a fun card to get the chance to cast this and then just have like each opponent lose X life and you gain a life. But to be honest, like I just have killed people with this card before. Like getting the chance to like Grey Merchant for like 10 or like 15, it's just a really, really satisfying thing to do. And I just like, I always feel like really good whenever I cast Grey Merchant, and I just like really, really enjoy this card. And just, if you're playing mono black in Commander, like why not, you know what I mean? Okay, coming in, we're at number 8, and that is Ashen Rider. And I just like, Ashen Rider is an interesting card for me because it's kind of been a card that's like been on my radar for a minute, but I never really had a deck to really put it in until I put it in Thassa. And I get that Ashen Rider is like a lot of mana realistically, but I really still enjoy this card because it's when it enters or where it dies. So if you have any way to like blink this, or any, like you're playing in Thassa where, you know, you get your double death triggers and whatnot, which is like incredibly good. You get to exile target permanent, which I really like. I think this is just a really good like anything removal sort of card. Like this can remove literally anything you want it to, even lands. And it just, you know, it's so incredibly good. Like, yes, it is a lot of mana, but then you're left with the 5/5 with flyer, so I don't know. I just really enjoy Ashen Rider. I think it's a really good card. Okay, the next card is Hammer of Perfroz. I also run this card in Omnath, and to be honest, I just don't really find myself running a lot of red in Commander. It's definitely like my least favorite, I would say, out of like all the colors, and like a color that I feel like I don't cast like, I don't find myself building decks that typically have red in it, or if they have red, I feel like they tend to have more of a splash of red. So I don't really, like, run this in, like, anything else, really, because I just don't have the room for it. But there's really not a whole lot to say about this card. Just, like, creatures you control of haste, which I personally just really like. I like that it only targets my stuff, and it doesn't target anyone else's. And then for 3, you can sack it. I've very, very rarely done this. I've done this if I've been, like, absolutely desperate, where, like, I really need bodies on the field, but, like, it's not really a thing I cast. But yeah, I do really enjoy this. Having haste is just, like, something that's really important to me, especially in my on-moth build, so I do really like this card. Okay, are we at number 5? Where are we? We're at number 6. Okay, coming in at number 6, this is a card that has, oh man, I just feel like a lot of memories, definitely, and then it's Ashiok, Nightmare Weaver, and I love Ashiok. I remember getting, like, this card signed by Carlo Ortiz, who's, like, one of my favorite artists, and I just really enjoy, like, I remember, like, when I built, like, Grixis Control in Modern, and I was like, I want to jam this card. Like, I was trying to squeeze Ashiok in, like, wherever I realistically could, and I remember, like, her just being, like, a really good, like, sideboard option. I maybe even, to be honest, wanted to jam her in the main board or they wanted to jam them in the main board because, like, you know, I'm crazy and wild and I do weird things, and I like to have, like, that little, you know, the little bit of, like, edge, I would say, in Modern. But anyways, I just feel like I have a lot of good memories with this card of, like, just really wanting to, like, play this, and, like, the times that, like, I have played it, because I feel like Ashiok is so interesting, because I feel like they're a card that a lot of people don't feel like it has that, like, impact like a lot of other Planeswalkers do. I feel like we have this standard for Planeswalkers, and I think when the Planeswalker doesn't fit, like, that mold, or, like, doesn't fit that, or people think that it's not as good, I think then it can be, you know, a lot of people, like, don't think that it's as threatening as it actually is. And so, you know, getting the chance to, like, uptick them, and having the chance to exile cards from your opponent's library, which is so good because they're exiled. So even if you realistically, Ashiok does die later on and you don't get the chance to really do anything with those cards, getting the chance to exile them is still incredibly strong. And then, you know, you have your minus, which you can put, you know, a creature, which is just amazing, and the minus, you know, the ults, you exile all cards from opponent's hands and graveyards, definitely can be really incredibly devastating, but I feel like mainly the uptick and possibly even the minus are definitely what I really focused on in this card, and just overall just, like, really, really enjoyed playing with this card. And this card's actually been in my box. I just don't have a deck to put this card in right now, and there's just no room. So I definitely, you know, this is a color combination I feel like I don't really have a lot of stuff with. I guess Thassa, but Thassa is green, and I feel like the majority of the deck is green, so maybe one day I'll, like, build this color combination and I'll throw Ashiok in there, of course, because it's just a deck that you feel like you could just put, like, I feel like that's the cool thing about Planeswalkers, is, like, you don't necessarily have to have, like, a specific theme or anything like that. You can kind of just jam them in wherever, which I really like, so. Cool. Coming in at number 5, we have Thassa, God of the Sea. Again, this was really hard for me because there really were so many good cards to choose from, but I've always just really enjoyed Thassa, and I would say, like, I remember having Thassa back in my, like, first copy of Merfolk, which was Ephara, and I had her in Merfolk, and then I have her in Ladies, and she's just, like, so good. Like, getting the chance to, like, scry 1 at the beginning of your upkeep is awesome. I love that. And then the 2, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn is so good. And let me tell you something, people, like, forget that this is, like, on your board and forget that she does this, and you're able to just make something unblockable, and, like, you're just like, oh yeah, I'll take that damage, and then they're just like, or you're like, oh yeah, I'll block, whatever, and then you just, like, make it unblockable, and it just, like, puts them in, like, a really difficult, like, position where they're just like, oh, I'm, like, not able to, like, block that or anything. Again, people just tend to forget, I feel like, what Thassa does, which is, you know, something that I found in my experience of playing with her for years, and she's just so incredibly good. You know, she's really to do is, like, film the rest of this video, and I just, like, I'm having super major issues because my memory was full on my computer, and I was actually gonna blame the cats because they just touch things. They really like my computer, and they really like touching things, so they, like, touch my keyboard and they disrupt things, but this time it wasn't their fault. It was actually, my computer was out of memory. So, already filmed this, but, you know, we got, to do it again, because, you know, technology. Okay, the next card I wanted to talk about is Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. This is number, I believe, 6 on our list. So sorry, number 4. Okay, so to me, I feel like when people, like, think about Theros, I feel like they very much think of, they have, like, a very specific image in their head, and that is going to be gods, and also I just feel like Nykthos. Like, I feel like it's such a staple card of this set, and I honestly was kind of surprised, to be real here, that this actually didn't get reprinted in Theros Beyond Death. I just really thought that this card, we would definitely see it being more play. Zelda's having, like, major issues getting adjusted again. She's really upset because I'm taking up the majority of the chair, but I'm the bigger person, so I get more of the chair than she does. She's really upset right now, but it's okay. Anyways, it's just, like, this is such a good, like, if you're building a monocolored deck, like, just Nykthos. It's a card, like, it's worth the money, it's worth, like, everything. It's such a good card. Like, 100%, like, definitely, like, just love this card. Okay, I cannot see anything, so let's make this bigger. Whoa, that's a little bit too big. Okay, I wear glasses for distance, so my laptop is about, like, more than arm's distance away, and I can't see anything because, you know, #blind. So, anyways, okay, let's move into number 3, and that is Fade into Antiquity. And I feel like Fade was one of those cards that when I was, like, first starting out, like, deck building, I, like, discovered this card and I was like, oh my god, I need to run this in everything. And I just, like, never stopped having that mentality, to be real here. Like, I always just felt like, you know what card, like, I just need in my green deck? It's like, I need, like, a Fade into Antiquity. I love that it's exile, and I just feel like if you're building especially, like, a mono green deck, I feel like this is a really good staple card to, like, have in there. And just, I love the security blanket of knowing something is exiled. You know what I mean? It just, like, gives me that, like, feeling of comfort. So I really enjoy Fade into Antiquity. And the number 2 card on my list is Curse of the Swine, and I love this card. I don't know, like, this card to me is such a, it almost, like, doesn't feel like a blue card to me, if that makes sense, because I feel like a lot of times blue just, I don't know, I feel like blue I always really associated, like, removal with, like, counter spells, which, like, I guess is, like kind of removal. I don't know what the word is to really call counter spells, but anyways, I love Curse of the Swine. I remember, like, seeing my one friend Logan, like, cast this card, and I was like, dude, I, like, forgot about that card, because, and I've said this before, but I think sometimes when cards are only printed in one set, I feel like a lot of times, I think this card's only ever been printed in one set, I'm pretty sure, I feel like sometimes people forget about those cards, that kind of, like, goes by the wayside a little bit more, and I definitely feel like Curse of Swine's, like, one of those cards that people just kind of forget about, and it's such a good staple blue card for me, personally. Like, it's definitely in my, like, top 10 list of favorite blue cards, like, of all time. I just personally love it. So, you give them tutus afterwards, but to be completely honest, whatever you're getting rid of, whatever you're exiling, is definitely better than whatever you're giving them a tutu, you know what I mean? She's playing with the zipper on my for some reason, I don't know why, but I have like zippers, so she's, like, playing with that. She's, like, really into it, so. Hi, princess. Last time I picked her up and tried to show her on video, she was not having it, so we are not gonna do that. She's very weird about being picked up. Leia doesn't really mind. We pick Leia up, like, a million times, because she's always doing, like, on the counters, and, you know, Zelda you go up to and you're like, get off the counter, and she listens, but Leia just doesn't. So anyways, that was my little cat story for ya. Okay, so my honorable mention, and the honorable mention slot can be, most of the time it's been for art, but it can also be for a card that didn't necessarily make it on this list, but in this case it's art because I love this art, and that is Ephara's Warden. And I feel like this card's just like Princess Jasmine, okay? Like, I just love this card. Again, I feel like this card's, like, only ever been printed in this set, and so I feel like a lot of people don't know about this card, and, like, I just love this art. Like, I love the color that they chose, like, for her dress, is kind of like teal, and not teal, like, greenish kind of color. It just very much feels like a little, like, mermaid color. I don't know, I just really love it. So anyways, like, the background of this card, too, is, like, super pretty. I really like it, and the art is just so incredibly stunning on this card. I love it. Yeah. Okay, now let's talk about our number 1 slot. And if you know anything about me, this is not going to come as a shock to you that my number 1 card is, of course, the Queen herself, Elspeth Sun's Champion. Okay. I feel like every time I talk about Elspeth Sun's Champion, I say the same thing, so this might be repetitive, but we're gonna do it anyway. She's the best Planeswalker. Period. Like, she just is. She's my favorite Planeswalker. One thing I love so much about Elspeth Sun's Champion is she's the best Planeswalker at protecting herself. I feel like now the molds that we kind of have for Planeswalkers is, like, their minus, like, make some sort of token, not all the time, but, like, it'll make some sort of like, token that, like, defends it, but I personally like having an uptick where it defends the Planeswalker, and she's like the best Planeswalker at doing that because she creates 3 1/1s. Her minus is a mini board wipe in 1, you know, destroys everything with power 4 or greater, which is amazing. I don't know why I'm looking at my screen. I don't even have the card pulled up. Like, I just know what this card does, like, inside and out. And then her ult is, you know, everything gets +2/+2, and has flying, which is just, like, so incredibly amazing. Like, I very rarely have gotten Elspeth Sun's Champion ult off, and I do feel like a lot of people could say that this ult is not not necessarily like a game winning, because I feel like a lot of times we have this vision in our head that like ults for Planeswalkers are going to be like groundbreaking, like you win the game automatically. And I think when we kind of rank Planeswalkers, I feel like that can definitely be a factor that a lot of people, you know, do think about. But to be completely honest here, I'm sure if you do have her ult out when you have a bunch of things, I'm sure it can definitely end the game very quickly. Obviously, if you don't have a board, her ult is not necessarily useful, but her minus just to get like 3 dudes is just like so incredibly strong. And personally, I'm here for this card. I love it. So, guys, that was everything for my top 10 Theros card. I'd be really interested to know what some of your favorite cards are for Theros. So make sure to leave that in a comment below so I can check out your list. Maybe some of these cards will be on your list as well. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.